So good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Civilian Complaint Review Board September board meeting. My name is Fred Davey, and as many of you know, I am the chair of the CCRB. I'd like to begin by introducing our newest board member, Arbor Rice. Arbor is the president and CEO of the New York Urban League and is the only second woman to ever hold that position. Ms. Rice has dedicated much of her life to the advancement of women and girls and has been instrumental in advancing the Urban League's mission of empowering African Americans and other underserved communities to secure a first-class education and economic opportunity. Arbor, we are thrilled to have you on board and would like to ask you to introduce yourself and say a few more words if you like, and then we'll ask your colleagues on the board to introduce themselves as well. So, Arbor Rice. And I think you are muted, Arbor.
Good morning. Thank you so much, Fred, for that warm introduction. I am indeed thrilled to join the CCRB, this esteemed panel of members, and also just this very important mandate to serve the community. And so I take it with humbleness and appreciate the opportunity to continue to serve. As you mentioned, I'm Arva, and I'm originally from the Midwest, but as I say, I got to Harlem just as soon as I can, and so I live in Harlem and look forward to working with you all.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us, and it's great to have this opportunity to work closely together. I will ask Ms. Simmons if she'll introduce herself.
Good morning, everybody. It's really great to see everyone back here. Thank you for your interest in the Civilian Complaint Review Board. My name is Esmeralda Simmons. I'm a civil rights attorney from Brooklyn, and I am the appointee of the New York City Public Advocate, Jumaane Williams.
Great. Dr. Carolina. Dr. Carolina.
Good morning, everyone. Glad to. Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
All righty. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here, certainly with this wonderful committee and panel as well. I'm Demetrius Carolina, the Executive Director of the Central Family Life Center in Staten Island, also pastor of the First Central Baptist Church in Staten Island. I am a mayor's appointee. Again, good morning.
Morning. Mr. Puma.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Joseph Puma. I'm the City Council representative on the board from the Borough of Manhattan, and I hail from the Lower East Side.
Mr. Freeman. And I think you're muted, Mr. Freeman.
Good morning,
Good morning.
Okay, good morning again. Good morning, everyone. I'm Willie Freeman. I'm the police commissioner designee. I hail from Brooklyn.
Great, welcome. And we have on the phone with us Corinne Irish. Corinne?
It's Corey. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Corinne.
Hi, Corinne Irish, mayoral appointee. I live in Harlem, New York.
Great, thank you, Corinne. And I think that's everyone. So I want to thank you all again and thank the public for joining us this morning. By way of my remarks, I'd like to say that despite all the uncertainty and hardship that the city has faced in the last 18 months, this agency has continued to make great achievements. We have released a database of officers' CCRB disciplinary history and seen an expansion in authority to hold officers accountable for sexual misconduct, false official statements, police profiling, and bias-based policing. We published one of the first ever comprehensive reports on the use of body-worn camera footage by an oversight agency, issued a report on NYPD's interaction with youth, accompanied by the first ever public service announcement with our Youth Advisory Council, hired our first ever director of our new Civilian Assistance Unit, and recently hired our director of the Racial Profiling and Bias-Based Policing Unit, who Monty will introduce shortly. In fact, our staff has increased to over 200, and there remain key positions that the agency still needs the city to support. We continue to investigate thousands of cases a year, including hundreds of complaints related to police misconduct at the Black Lives Matter protests last summer. We recommend discipline when we find misconduct occurred and prosecute officers in the most egregious cases of misconduct. To date, we have fully investigated 116 complaints from the protests and substantiated 38 complaints containing 75 allegations against 58 officers. So I'd like to say that again. We fully investigated 116 complaints from the protests, substantiated 38 complaints containing 75 allegations against 58 officers coming out of the Black Lives Matter protests from last June. The board has recommended serving charges in 21 of those complaints, Command Discipline B in 6, and Command Discipline A in 11 of those complaints. When the New York State issued New York on Pause, our outreach team rapidly pivoted to remote and conducted nearly 700 presentations since March 2020. They have also launched several initiatives, including CCRB Side, CCRB Block by Block, and CCRB Cares, where they partner with local community-based organizations and trust community members to ensure New Yorkers know what resources are available to them and how the CCRB can help. In the past year, we have worked to implement a disciplinary matrix in order to create a transparent framework with set penalties for misconduct consistent across agencies. Conducted almost 700 presentations to community groups, even during a global pandemic, and they increased our partnerships with oversight agencies in New York and across the country to improve civilian oversight of law enforcement throughout the United States. And we publicly signed an MOU with the police commissioner to ensure adherence to CCRB discipline recommendations. And we won't stop here. Our teams are constantly working to improve public safety and the criminal justice system for all New Yorkers. Our investigators are working diligently to investigate new complaints that come in daily, ensuring that all parties involved are fairly evaluated. Our prosecutors recently filed charges against the officers who took Kowalski Trawick's life and are fighting for justice and accountability with every case they take on. As New York City reopens, our outreach team is hitting the streets to conduct as many, to connect with as many New Yorkers as possible. Our policy team continues to analyze the hundreds of cases filed as a result of the protests to best understand how we can improve policing at protests and give recommendations to the NYPD. Our intergovernmental relations team is fighting an uphill battle to allow the CCRB to self-initiate complaints, exempt the CCRB from sealed statutes laws, and finally give the CCRB final authority over discipline in CCRB cases. As we continue to secure greater safety and accountability for New Yorkers, I will update you every step of the way. In the meantime, and with that, I would like to turn the floor over, the virtual floor over, to CCRB's Executive Director, Jonathan John.
Thank you, Chair Davey. I want to thank Chair Davey and the board for the support they've given staff for the last 18 months that enabled us to make the progress Chair Davey described. I'd like to take a minute to remember Jordan Roop, who sadly passed away on July 9th. He spent over a decade serving the city with the Central Park Conservancy, New York, and Star Society Community Ward 8. Jordan was deeply dedicated to increasing police accountability and would give much of his time and energy to move the mission forward. He would often speak at these meetings, suggest improvements, and offer his assistance whenever possible. And I think he will be missed, and I know I personally will miss him. Some of the changes that we have made to how we do business, in little ways and in large ways, are a result of his suggestions, and they are always kept in mind, making sure that the agency was explaining itself to people who might not understand the jargon we use as we investigate and prosecute these cases. And on behalf of the agency, I want to extend to his wife of 45 years, Kathy, and their children our deepest sympathies. On October 7th, we are going to host CCRB's third annual Youth Summit. This summit is an opportunity for young people ages 10 to 24 from across New York City to share their experiences with policing, identify problems in their communities, and recommend solutions to public safety and police oversight practitioners and academics. There will be a panel made up of various representatives from youth justice organizations, civilian oversight agencies, and youth activists from across the country who will share their insight on youth and policing. You can register to participate online at our website. As the chair mentioned, we are thrilled to launch the pioneering new unit that Monty will speak about shortly, and announce the director we are honored to have on board. The preparatory work we've done so far raised serious issues around sealed information. In order to investigate profiling allegations or the bias-based allegations covered under new Charter Section 441 that would require us to review past conduct, agency needs access to information about sealed cases. If the state sealing statutes apply to CCRB, we will not be able to investigate the cases assigned to us in Council Bill 2212. Currently, these statutes cause the NYPD to deny CCRB certain information and certain documents that they give us, citing state sealing statutes. These problems threaten to prevent the new unit from accomplishing the tasks set forth for us by the City Council and the administration. And the agency is going to work with the legislature and the new governor to see if there is a solution to this problem. Before we get started tonight, I just wanted to remind you that the CCRB continues to review protest cases and expects to have a protest report out this year. For individuals who need to file a complaint in person, our office is open, but we still prefer complainants to file online and over the phone if possible. When we have the public comment session, please use the raise the hand function that will allow you to make a comment. And I would like to thank the staff for continuing to work under difficult conditions. And thank the members of the public who are participating in today's meeting.
Thank you, John. And now we're going to hear from our Director of Outreach, Jahai Rose. I don't ever remember referring to Jahai as Director of Outreach before. So is this a promotion, Jahai Rose?
I am very honored. Yes, it is a promotion, and I definitely thank the CCRB for entrusting this responsibility with me. Okay, I will be sharing my screen. Okay, good morning all. Thank you very much for joining us. As you all know, we are the Civilian Complaint Review Board. We are the largest independent oversight entity over the largest police force in the country. The CCRB investigates, mediates, and in some cases, as the chair previously mentioned, administratively prosecutes complaints of police misconduct against members of the NYPD. The agency is governed by a 15-member board, some of which you have met on this call. of which 5 are appointed by the New York City Mayor, 5 are appointed by the New York City Council, 3 are designated by the New York City Police Commissioner, and 1 is appointed by the New York City Public Advocate. The chair, who you have met, Chair Davey, is jointly appointed by the Mayor and the New York City Council. The CCRB has CCRB intakes complaints about police misconduct. We have the ability to investigate 4 types of categories of police misconduct, which include force, abuse of authority, discourtesy, and offensive language. 2 additional categories have been added on, as previously mentioned by Chair Davey, that would include sexual misconduct. And in addition to that, racial profiling and bias-based policing, which will be spoken to at length by the next presenter. We also wanted to provide you with some information regarding the Right to Know Act. The Right to Know Act is a law that went into effect that affects New York City police officers in encounters that include stop and frisk, checkpoints, and other such encounters. That includes police officers identifying themselves under certain circumstances, and includes police officers identifying themselves by providing a name and other information, such as rank, command, and shield number. In some circumstances, with some exemptions, they must explain the purpose of the interaction. They should inform an individual of their right to say no when asking for consent to search a person, an individual's person, property, vehicle, or home. In addition to that, they should, under certain circumstances, offer a business card with the officer's information, which explains how to file a comment and or complaint, and information about any interaction with the police officer. And any encounter, a civilian would be able to request a business card. This is what the business cards look like, front and back. Now, there are a few ways to file a complaint about police misconduct. The easiest way would be to file it online, nyc.gov/CCRB complaint. You can also file a complaint by calling our hotline, 1-800-341-CCRB, 1-800-341-2272. Remember, if you see footage of misconduct on social media or in the news, you can file a complaint. You can tag the CCRB in that video. In addition to that, and that's also including if you weren't there personally. The other ways to file a complaint to the CCRB include calling 311. You can also go to any local police precinct in the city of New York. It does not have to be the one where the encounter may have taken place. You can visit our office at 100 Church Street on the 10th floor, New York, New York, zip code 10007. You could also send us a letter to the same address, 100 Church Street on the 10th floor, New York, New York, zip code 10007. Now, we do, the CCRB is looking for New York City residents to be a part of our investigative unit. The roles and responsibilities include the investigative unit that we have now comprises the best and brightest undergrad and graduate students from various educational institutions citywide. They also speak various languages, upwards of 10. There are different ways to apply. Feel free to go to the New York City careers portal at nyc.gov. Search for Civilian Complaint Review Board. You could also go to Idealist, www.idealist.org. You could also check Handshake, or you could feel free to email us at careers@ccrb.nyc.gov. As Jonathan Darsh previously mentioned, the CCRB will be hosting our 3rd annual Speak Up, Speak Out Youth Summit. Registration is open, so that event will take place on Thursday, October 7th from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. And you can feel free to register. The link was provided inside of the chat. We will provide the link again. Individuals can register online. If you'd like a CCRB outreach presentation, feel free to email us at outreach@ccrb.nyc.gov. Feel free to also follow us online on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Thank you very much, Chair Davey.
Thank you, Jahai. Do any of the board members have any questions for Jahai? All right, seeing none, Jahai, thank you for your presentation. We will now turn next to our Chief of Investigations, Monty Gavant. I'm very excited about the presentation Monty is about to make. It will take us, it will make a huge leap for us into the CCRB's ability to investigate bias-based policing and racial profiling. No better person to be overseeing this than Monty, and no better person to be executing the actual work of the new division than the person Monty is about to introduce. So Monty, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Chair Davey. Again, my name is Monty Gavan. I am the Chief of Investigations with the CCRB. I've worked in that capacity since last November, and prior to that, I was the training director since summer of 2016. And it's a real pleasure to be here today to update members of the public and members of the board on the agency's progress towards launching a new bias-based policing and racial profiling unit. Let me quickly turn off my video and share my screen. So first, a little bit of background. Back on March 25th of 2021, the New York City Council passed Intro 2212A, which became law in April of 2021. Intro 2212A, or Local Law 47, clarifies that the Civilian Complaint Review Board's jurisdiction to investigate allegations that members of the NYPD abuse their authority also includes the power to investigate allegations that members of service engaged in racial profiling and bias-based policing. Among the motivating factors for 2212 was a June 2019 report produced by the NYPD Office of Inspector General that identified glaring deficiencies in how the NYPD handled complaints of biased policing. The report's findings include that NYPD had failed to substantiate a single instance of racial profiling or bias-based policing since the Monitor and Stop, Question, and Frisk lawsuit ordered them to investigate such complaints in 2014. Upon the passage of 2212, the CCRB formed a working group chaired by CCRB Assistant General Counsel Elizabeth Seymour that included members of the agency's various units. The purpose of the working group was threefold. First, to determine how CCRB could responsibly begin to investigate bias-based policing and racial profiling, which are qualitatively different than the investigations that CCRB currently undertakes. Secondly, to get a sense of the staffing and resources we would need to investigate these claims responsibly and competently. And probably most importantly, to identify the background, experience, and skill sets that we would need in a director who can lead our efforts to create and lead the 2212 investigations unit. In all, we spoke to over 20 subject matter experts this summer. These included Professor Christy Lopez, who's a professor at Georgetown Law School and previously served as the deputy chief in the special litigation section of the Civil Rights Division during the Obama administration. Corey Stoughton, who is the director of special litigation at the Legal Aid Society. Professor Jack Glazier, who is a social psychologist on the faculty of UC Berkeley, and Professor Jeff Fagan, who's a professor of epidemiology and law at Columbia University, both of whom participated in the remedy phase of the Floyd litigation right here in NYC. Lenny Noisette, who is the former executive director of the Neighborhood Defender Service of Harlem and is currently a division director of U.S. programs at the Open Society Foundation. Cynthia Conti Cook, who I think you all know well, who's a civil rights litigator and public defender, most recently at the Legal Aid Society in New York, who has led individual civil rights and both in federal and state courts. Ms. Conti Cook currently serves as the Ford Foundation Tech Fellow. Professor Tracy Mears and George Camacho of the Justice Collaboratory at Yale Law School, both of whom are nationally recognized experts in urban policing. and several legal staff members from NYCLU, including Christopher Dunn. That's just to name a few of them. We also had an opportunity to speak with our own board member, Esmeralda Spalding, who was extremely helpful also. So what were the takeaways? What did we learn? One of the things that we learned through these conversations is that these cases are incredibly difficult to investigate and prove, and that the investigations can take a very long time to complete. We also learned that in order for us to effectively, responsibly, and successfully investigate bias-based policing and racial profiling, the CCRB will need funding to fully staff the unit. We will need exemptions from sealing statutes. We will need direct and unfettered access to body-worn camera footage, and funding for the software that will permit us to analyze large quantities of data. We also learned that we'll need access to tons of NYPD data and the capacity to effectively analyze that data. Data analysis helps to identify patterns, which will then enable us to discern intent in an individual case. Examples of the type of data that CCRB will need access to include body-worn camera footage, NYPD CompStat data, and NYPD personnel files. We also learned that in order to effectively analyze and interpret the data, we will need to hire data analysts who have a rich and nuanced understanding of policing and police culture and can conduct multivariate data analysis. And then finally, we learned that outreach will be extremely important. The agency will have to strengthen and cultivate relationships with community members so that we can learn how they experience profiling and bias-based policing, and so that they can point out to us who the truly problematic MOS are and truly bad actors that they encounter on a regular basis. After a very long process, in July, we made an offer to Darius Charney, and I'm very pleased and very proud to announce that he has accepted the offer. Darius comes to us from the Center for Constitutional Rights, where he is a senior staff attorney working on government misconduct and racial justice cases. Among his many high-profile cases, Darius was lead counsel on Floyd versus City of New York, the landmark federal civil rights class action lawsuit that found that NYPD stop and frisk practices were racially discriminatory and otherwise unconstitutional. Darius has a deep understanding of racial profiling and bias-based policing, and he knows the NYPD. His work in Floyd demonstrates his ability to investigate and prove these unlawful practices. Darius will bear primary responsibility for spearheading the creation of the new 2212 unit, including identifying staffing needs, hiring and training staff, directing investigations, and managing the day-to-day investigative activities of the unit. The agency is excited and humbled that he's agreed to join our team and to take on this challenge. Darius officially comes on board on September 27th. In the meantime, the 2212 working group will continue to cultivate relationships with subject matter experts outside of the agency so that we can continue to educate ourselves about the work and have institutional mentors that we can collaborate and strategize with once we begin investigating these allegations. We will also continue our outreach to hear perspectives and concerns from a broad range of stakeholders, including organizations that represent LGBTQ plus New Yorkers, Muslim and other ethnic and marginalized religious communities, youth groups, as well as the NYPD. Darius has made himself available to participate in these conversations even before his official start date. And finally, the CCRB will continue to advocate for legislation and resources that are necessary for the unit to succeed. That includes funding to fully staff the unit, exemptions from sealing statutes, direct and unfettered access to body-worn camera footage, and funding for data analysis software. And if there's any questions, I'll be happy to take them. And also, I know that Darius is here, and hope that he can say a few words as well.
Great, thank you, Monty. Let's see if we can bring Darius in, if he wants to say a few words, and then we'll take questions and comments from board members. So it looks like Darius is on the screen. How are you? And we'll maybe say a few words, and then we'll see if the board members have questions or comments. Darius.
Sure. I guess I just want to start by saying how excited and honored I am to be joining, what is definitely the premier civilian oversight agency in the United States, and an agency whose work I have, reviewed and admired for many, many years. As Monty mentioned, I come to this position with a fair amount of experience working on issues of bias policing, racial profiling, both in litigation as well as legislative advocacy, and I hope I can bring those skills and that knowledge to this work and to work. I look forward to working very closely with the agency staff and the great investigators that are already at the CCRB, as well as with the board, to hopefully create a really robust and effective system for investigating these cases that will, not only I think make a big difference here in New York, but hopefully can serve as a model nationally. And yeah, happy to answer any questions, and I know we'll be talking again very soon and continue to discuss these issues as we go forward.
Thank you, Darius. We're really, really extremely pleased to have you on board. As I said in my opening remarks, I think this puts us in a completely different orbit when it comes to your appointment, puts us in a completely different orbit when it comes to investigating bias-based policing and racial profiling. So glad that we can have someone of your caliber and experience in this role. Really pleased for Monty's leadership again in the investigations unit and in the agency as a whole, and for what John and Matt and the other staff are doing as well. So let's see if other board members have comments or questions, but welcome aboard. We're very glad to have you. Anyone else? Esmeralda, sure. Simmons. And you might be on mute.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sure.
I can't tell you how thrilled I am that you're joining our team. You're definitely going to pull a lot of our very, very strong investigative skills together to make this a win. Thank you very much for coming on board.
Thank you, and I look forward to working with you as we move forward.
Other comments, questions? All right. Well, thank you again, Darius. Thank you, Monty. Looks like Mr. Puma has a comment. Question. Sure.
Yes. Just another welcome to Darius, and I have a technical question which Darius or Monty can answer perhaps, and that is when do those provisions of Local Law 47 come into effect next year? Like around what month or date?
January of 2022, so it's not far away at all.
Thank you.
Great. Great. All right. Well, welcome again, Darius. Thank you again, Monty, and we look forward to working with you both. It's a great day in the life of civilian oversight, not only for New York City, but for the nation as a whole. So thank you.
Thank you, Chair David.
Sure. So now we will have comments from community groups, and I will turn it over to Yahira, who may have a list of people who want to speak. So Yahira, it's yours.
Thank you, Chair Davey. First, we'll be hearing from Sharima Harble. She's the Director of Community Engagement and Outreach at Exodus Transitional Services.
Sharima. We see you. We see that you're with us. I think you just need to turn on your video. There you are.
Okay.
Great.
There we go. Good morning. I can't see myself. Can you see me? I'm sorry.
Yes, please go
Okay.
ahead.
Good morning. My name is Sharima Harvell. I am the director of community engagement and outreach here at Exodus. I'm also an East Harlem resident. And I just wanted to say a few words before I have to hop off. What I've noticed in my time of community service and community work is that closer for me is the PSA 5, right? I just want to talk about what I know. And what I found was that we embraced our PSA 5. We embraced our police officers and they embraced us. So it's kind of like a family kind of situation there. If I would have to say there was any complaints, I have none in this moment. I believe that they've been open, willing to help. Anything that I or any other community leaders have needed, they were able to be there and to assist, ready, willing, and able. They engage our youth. They engage our development. They do like what was something we did a cleanup recently, which engaged more youth for the cleanup. They're just there. And I feel like it's because we allow them to be there. We open the door and say, hey, how are you doing? And, embrace and have a conversation and don't just treat them like they're just standing at a post. We treat them like they're human. And that's all I wanted to say. Thank you for this opportunity and good morning. Again, humbly and honored. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you, Sharima. Just two comments on my part. One, I know the organization and its executive director well. You guys do extraordinary work. I remember when Julio Medina, who's the founder and executive director, was forming this community organization more than 20 years ago now, as I recall. Yeah, so that's great work. And it's always good to hear when the experience of a community-based organization with a precinct or a portion of the precinct is a unit of the NYPD is going well, because we often hear the other side of that. So it's good to hear that piece of good news, and we appreciate your coming to present it.
Thank you.
Sure. Any comments, questions from board members? All right. I will turn it back then to Yahira.
Thank you. Next, we'll be hearing from Ms. Darlene Waters.
Darlene Waters, you may need to turn on your...
Can you hear me?
We can. Please go ahead.
Okay. Sorry, I can't seem to get the start for the video.
No worries.
Okay. So my name is Darlene Waters. I'm president of Elliott Chelsea Houses, and I would like to say, and I'm very proud, that the police officers that we work with here are doing a very good job. We're under the 10th precinct and PSA 4. We talk to each other all the time. If there's something wrong, we go to them. They'll have a meeting with us. They're always at our tenants association meeting. And also we have a meeting with them today in the park. They haven't canceled yet. But we have lots of meetings with them. Anything goes on, we actually exchange what's happening in the community. We say hello to each other. All the times they just parked outside, they say hello back. I love when we had our family day, that they were there playing ball with our young people there. And we need more of that, but I'm glad to say they are on the ball and they're here. I see them going up and down the buildings and all around the neighborhood. And I'm glad that they're here and they're doing a very good job. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. And I will repeat what I said when the previous speakers presented. It's good to hear that these community police relations are improving in some neighborhoods around the city. Yahira, our next speaker.
Next will be next we'll be hearing from Justin Myers.
Hello, my name is Justin. I'm from Manhattan. I live in Clinton, and I'm 19 years old, attending Lehman College. Within my community, the relationship between the cops and the people is almost non-existent. There are many reasons why the people and the police do not have a good relationship, such as the police not patrolling the area correctly. What I mean by that statement is the police will sometimes patrol one area with a group of people and then patrol the same area with none people at all. This is a problem because when crimes happen within our area, no one shows up to stop it. And recently around my area, crimes have increased, making me and the people in my apartment feel unsafe. Overall, the police should be more responsible in order for the people to trust them and we can have a good relationship with them.
Thank you, Justin.
Yeah,
Are you, have you concluded your presentation?
say that again?
I was just making sure that you've concluded your presentation.
Yeah, I concluded my presentation.
Thank you so much. Any questions or comments from members of the board?
I just had one question for Justin, and that is if he is aware of any local community organizations in his immediate area that deal with community police relations.
I do not currently know any local places that deal with the police at this moment.
Great. Thanks for letting us know, and perhaps through Jahai, we might be able to make that connection. It also seems as if maybe the unit in your area could take some perhaps best practice lessons from the work that is being done in other areas of the city, as we heard from the first two speakers, and apply those best practices to that community work in your neighborhood. But we'll try to get you connected with Jahai, and perhaps Jahai can recommend community-based organizations in your neighborhood that are trying to connect with the local precinct. Dr. Carolina, thank you for that question. Any follow-up?
Mr. Chairman, Jahai will definitely reach out to the speaker and connect him as you suggested.
Great. Thank you, John. Anybody else?
That concludes our community speakers. We can move on to public comment.
Thank you. Are there any other comments, questions from board members? All right, hearing none. I am going to make a brief statement about what we're going to do in our...
I'm sorry, Chair. We do have a few folks from for the public comment.
I'm sorry, I missed that. All right, please go ahead.
Okay. Next, we'll be hearing from Chris Dunn. Just as a reminder, please keep your comments to 2 minutes.
Okay, good morning. Fred, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Chris. Welcome.
Thank you. Nice to see all of you. And I want to welcome Ms. Rice. Even though don't know each other, but I spent a long time talking to your new colleagues, so welcome to the board. Fred, I appreciated your comments. The CCRB is a different place under your leadership. And not that we don't have concerns, of course we always do, but as your comments suggested, there's been a sea change in the way the CCRB operates, and you get a lot of credit for that, as does John and other members of the agency, but I want to particularly note that, particularly since we're not typically in the business of praising government agencies, but you have done some terrific things, and thank you for that.
Thank you, Chris.
But the real thing I want to talk about is perhaps the most remarkable thing that you have done, at least recently, which is to hire Darius. I'm not quite sure what to make of that, and I'm deeply disappointed Sal is not here because Sal and Darius are really going to hit it off. But I just want to say it is terrific that you've hired Darius. There is no better person to take on racial profiling with the NYPD. I have known Darius for many, many years. He is a colleague and someone who I have the utmost respect for. He's going to make your life very difficult, and he's going to make the NYPD's life even more difficult, but it'll be good for the public. It'll be good for the department. And I want to thank and congratulate you for bringing him on board. And I want to say to Darius, as I've said to him directly, I wish you the best of luck. I look forward to working with you in your position. Welcome to the other side. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. And we take it as high praise when we do hear praise from you. So really, really appreciate it. As I said before, very excited about having Darius on board. He, in the spirit of John Lewis, will hopefully make good trouble to make the agency better and to hold the department even more accountable, and as you've said, to better serve the public. So all this is really exciting and in many ways a very big day for the agency and for civilian oversight and law enforcement. Let me just say one more thing in relation to that. I think it is a vote of confidence, I think, in this board, in John and Matt's leadership, that we're able to make this kind of step with this caliber of individual. The great work that Monty's been doing as Chief of Investigations, opens a door and provides an opportunity for us to bring someone like Darius on board. So we're looking forward to a lot of good trouble. That's what we're all in the business about, and in the process better serve the public and create more accountability in policing, not only in New York City but across the nation. So thank you for your comments. Any other comments, board members, on the last speaker's comments? All right. So do we have another speaker you're hiring?
Yes, next we'll be hearing from Chad Royer.
Please go ahead, speaker.
Hi, good morning. This is Chad Royer. First off, it's an honor and privilege to have joined this meeting today with the CCRB. This is one I have been looking for quite a few years. I wear many hats in the neighborhood. An executive member of Bronx Community Board 7, and I'm fortunate to have our chair on the call as well. Just a few questions that I have, if anyone could answer. So for anyone to make use of the CCRB to request their help, does the person have to live or reside in the state of New York or the city of New York? I just want to find out what the boundaries are there, and how far back can a CCR complaint be made? Like, for example, if something happened in 2014, what would be the statute of limitation by which the CCRB could be of assistance to somebody who requires the help? I ask this question because many of our neighbors and residents who live, work, and play with us in our zip codes, some of us are permanent residents, some are not citizens, some have been here for a long time, some may not speak English as their first language. Just want to find out those basic things. What are the boundaries by which one has to live and reside in order for the CCRB to work, and how far back can CCRB look into complaints of conduct?
Sure.
Thank you all for your time, and hopefully we'll be able to do more things in our neighborhood.
Thank you. Let me just take a stab at the first, and then I'll ask John if he'll speak to the question of how far back we can go. So anyone who's had an encounter with the NYPD, no matter citizenship status, place of residence, can file a complaint with the CCRB. Anyone, period. as to how far back and statute of limitations. John, I'll ask you if you'll speak to that.
So we have, there is a statute of limitations of 1.5 years from the date of the incident until when charges are filed against a member of service. There is an exception to that, which is if the conduct that is the officer engaged in could have been charged as a crime, there is no statute of limitations at all. So what I would advise people is if you have a complaint about a member of service, file it with us. And if it is within our jurisdiction and it's within the time frame that we can investigate, we will investigate. And if not, we'll explain to you why we can't investigate.
Thank you, John.
And
other comments?
Questions?
Go ahead.
I just want to remind people the way to, and the easiest way to file a complaint is to go to the website and log in, and you can file a complaint online. You can upload video there. It's the best way to file it.
Thank you. Other speakers you're hiring?
Next, we'll be hearing from John Sonda.
Mr. Sonda. Are you there, Mr. Sonda? Hira, let's go to the next speaker, and if Mr. Sonda connects, we'll come back to him.
All right. Next, we'll be hearing from Abina Smith.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I was trying to use just to say I was trying the question feature, but it wasn't working for me. But I just wanted to ask, does the CCRB, do you handle complaints or concerns that relate to community affairs officers with the NYP?
Yes. John?
And more specifically, in terms of their practices with the community through their precinct community councils?
Yes. John, you want to speak to that?
So the agency has jurisdiction over all sworn members of service, which includes community affairs officers. Depending on what you're saying the officer did wrong, will determine whether we have jurisdiction. So if an officer was discourteous, if an officer used offensive language, if an officer abused their authority, those are things that we can investigate. If a community affairs officer inappropriately used force against you, that's something we can investigate.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I guess I would need to just look at the complaint process or what have you. The concern I have is very, I guess it's a bit complicated, but I do feel it involves an abuse of authority. It's just the manner in which it was done and the specific place and forum where I feel it had a significant impact in our community with respect to the precinct council.
Ms. Smith, I'm going to ask if you can hang on, and Jahai is going to try and connect you with an investigator so that if we can take the information from you, we'll be able to give you better answers.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. Next speaker you're hiring?
Thank you. The next speaker is John Sonda.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, Mr. Sonda, go ahead.
Okay. I apologize if it was stated during the first 9 minutes of today's board meeting, but why were the July and August board meetings canceled?
We had to make adjustments due to COVID-related issues. We thought we were going to be coming back in person, so we needed to spend time figuring out how best to do that. We are given an opportunity to only do 10 meetings a year if we need to do that, and so we chose to use that time to invest in reconvening publicly, and then of course now we have the Delta variant that has upended that, so that's the reason we chose not to have meetings in July and August.
Is there a reason why the videos of the May and June board meetings have not been uploaded onto the CCRB website?
I was not aware that they weren't, but I assume they'll be up soon.
Very good. Executive Director Darsh, has the CCRB completed the process of changing the disposition letters to inform complainants and victims of the reopening process in their disposition letter?
Not yet.
Okay. During the June board meeting, in response to the question if the CCRB intends to contact any prior complainants who were not provided the proper information to make a reopening request, and if yes, how far back is the CCRB considering? Executive Director Darsh stated, we haven't considered that yet. Has the CCRB considered that yet or made a decision on that yet?
No.
Okay. Or you haven't considered it yet at all?
We haven't made a decision on it yet.
But you have been having discussions about it.
I have thought about it and I've engaged in some discussions about it.
With who?
Ms. Sonda.
Members of the staff.
Yeah,
Okay. Executive Director Darsh stated that he believes the Goldman School of the University of California, Berkeley had reached out to the CCRB to offer to help with examining all external communications with civilians. Executive Director Darsh, do you know the individual at the Goldman School of the University of California, Berkeley, who had reached out to the CCRB?
they reached out to me, actually.
Okay. Do you know the name of the individual? Okay, so you're the individual at the CCRB that was contacted. Who is that person at the Goldman School, University of California, Berkeley?
Can you ask me why you want to know, Mr. Sonda? Because before I publicly say who that is, I think I owe it to them to let them know. Can you tell me why it's important for you to know at this moment?
Well, I don't understand why this information is confidential.
I didn't say it was confidential. I just asked.
Then it's not confidential, so then you can provide the answer to me. Thank you.
I will provide you the answer at the appropriate time.
And when's that?
Today. I just want to make the person aware that I'm going to make it, and then at the next public meeting, I'll give you their name. I just think it's only fair to them that I let them know that I'm going to do that. And you're right, it should be public, and it's not confidential. I just think as a courtesy, I should let them know that I'm going to tell the public that we had the initial conversation that brought that Goldman School in. So I'll send you an email with the person's name, and I just want to give them a heads up. Is that satisfactory? In the next meeting, you'll remind me that I said I would tell the public who it is I talked to. Does that work?
Not really. I would prefer just, since it's not confidential and you're just doing it, not giving it as a
Mr. Sonda, I just told you how I'm going to do it, and the public will know. So we'll do it that way, and we'll move on. Okay? I'll send you an email within an hour, and then I'll let it be known at the next public meeting. Yahira, next speaker.
That concludes our public session.
Thank you. Any more comments from board members? Any questions? Is there any old business to come before the board? Is there any new business to come before the board? I can't see all of you, so please mute if you want to. All right. So based on the fact that we've been asked to be a little more explicit about, I'm sorry, someone? Based on the fact we've been asked to be a little bit more explicit about what it is we do in executive session, I'm going to share with the public the items that we will discuss in executive session. So I'm going to ask for a motion that we move to adjourn to executive session, and that the agenda for the executive session is an executive director update and an update from the general counsel. The executive director will discuss the following 3 items: scheduling issues for panels and full board cases, update on open cases and the status of investigations, and then COVID-19 protocols for board members and staff. The General Counsel will discuss the following item, that is an update on current litigation involving CCRB. So do I have a second to that motion that we adjourn to executive session with those agenda items? Is there
So moved, Chair.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The opposition. All right. We will adjourn to executive session. I want to thank the public, thank the staff for all their hard work. Thank you, the board members. And we will sign off here and then reconnect to executive session, and the link to the executive session is in your email or in your calendar. So again, thanks to the public, thanks to the staff, thanks to all of you. Bye.